and in particular, design and development of electrode materials for electrochemical energy storage devices. Her research interests include lithium and beyond lithium batteries, supercapacitors, and waste-to-wealth-driven electrodes and electrolytes for energy storage and electrocatalytic applications. Till date, Dr. Kalaiselvi has been involved in 18 research projects funded by DST, MNRE, and CSIR. Dr. Kalaiselvi has more than 125 research papers and 6 patents to her credit. Under her guidance, 9 research scholars have received PhD degree and 5 researchers are currently pursuing their PhDs. She is a recipient of many prestigious awards, including CSIR Raman Research Fellowship, INSA NRF Exchange Award, Brainpool Fellowship of Korea, MRSI Medal, the Most Inspiring Woman Scientist Award, and CV Raman Mahila Vijnana Puraskara. She is the team leader, team director of Energy Team of CSIR, a life member of Society for Advancement of Electrochemical Science and Technology, Swadeshi Science Movement, Materials Research Society of India, Electrochemical Society of India, editorial member of International Journal of Renewable and Sustainable Energy, and editor of Ariga Arivayil. If I am wrong, please forgive me, madam. A monthly scientific publication in Tamil. Ma'am, it's a great privilege for all of us to have you amongst us today. And now, may I request you to kindly deliver the inaugural lecture.
Good morning. Thank you for the nice introduction. And I'm just uploading my slides also, with your permission. Just give me another half a minute.
Sure.
Is my slide visible, madam? Hello? Madam, is my slide visible?
No, madam. No, madam.
Is it visible now?
Not yet, madam.
Just give me a minute.
Oh, it's no problem.
Now only.
Yes.
Yes, putting our screen.
Yes.
In the PPT step. Just wait for another half a minute. It's getting uploaded.
Sure.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
So slide is visible and I'm also audible, right now, madam?
Yeah, both.
Okay. So, good morning to everyone. I'm extremely happy to be a part of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Department of Physics, University of Kerala. And I take this opportunity to put on record. Somebody else has
Dr. Mamata, can you kindly keep the microphone off? Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I take this opportunity to place on record my sincere thanks to Dr. Rocky, the entire faculty of the Department of Physics, University of Kerala, and my good friend Dr. Sudha. Because of all of you, I'm joining you today virtually through this platform to meet all of you and to share some of my views in my own field of energy. But just because you asked me to make it as a motivational talk, I thought that this energy should be connected to synergy. And let me try to make it as interesting as possible from my end. So first of all, I thought that I will just spend a minute in explaining you why I have taken this title of energy and synergy. Reason being, we the human beings, all of us, we need a lot of energy, mainly to run the show of our life. And this very energy, for merely by means of its availability, will not make a lot of difference. Whereas we, the human beings, we are living in a society, and therefore when all the energy of the individual human beings, if it is synergized in one form, if it is capitalized, if it is channelized in the appropriate form, then the synergistic effect will give a lot of accomplishments, a lot of new developments and progress, not only to the individual, but also to the society, the nation, and even to the globe. So this is the baseline with which I'm going to just talk to all of you. And when we talk about this energy and synergy, I just want to fondly recall Swami Vivekananda's quote. Swami Vivekananda told that, just give me a few hundreds of youth, I can change the fate of this nation. He was so hopeful that he could demonstrate that the entire nation could be changed if at all few hundreds of the youth are handed over to him. Meaning is, what he meant was, youth is the community which is superflowing with all positive energy. If at all somebody is able to tap all the energy, and if at all somebody is able to channelize the entire energy in one particular direction, then through that particular channel, we can really change the fate of this nation. And that was again endorsed by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was also confident and he believed a lot, mainly with respect to the energy of students as well as the youngsters of this nation. Dr. Abdul Kalam was the one who gave us a new hope with respect to the kind of population with which India is getting criticized by others in the global arena. He was the one who told us, no, don't think that the population is a negative point. No, we are the one of the 2 or 3 nations who will be having less than 40 age youth as the maximum population in the upcoming days, and therefore future is in our hands and we can do marvelous changes in future due to this younger population or the youth energy. Again, he also meant that this young energy should be made to get reflected in the form of a synergy in the development of this nation. Because we have number of historical evidences in the past. In the case of Japan also, when the country, the Nagasaki and Hiroshima, these 2 places were completely shattered, then the whole city, especially the citizens, they all believed in synergizing their energy, by means of which, again, like Lee Phoenix, Japan had the second birth, the rebirth. They resurrected from nothing, and then now they are proving the entire globe that they are capable of doing, mainly because they could synergize the entire energy of the citizens. This is one example. Similarly, we can have number of examples, and the recent example, yet another example, you can take the case of China. China was criticized by every country. Even today we are also criticizing, but leave alone all the criticisms, China made it as a possible thing, and China demonstrated that the population, the overflowing population, could be made as the strength of any nation, and they proved that now they are becoming a tough competitor to USA. So having these things, these historical events as a role model, as a positive point, as an example, we the Indians, if we also synergize all our energy, definitely we can make changes. And therefore, I take this opportunity to make an appeal from my side that the University of Kerala, especially the Department of Physics. I'm so happy to learn that you are going to introduce a course on renewable energy. Also, you renew and regenerate the energy which is already available with the youngsters, and you just create as much as positive from this particular small group of students. Slowly we can make the wave to get disseminated to other places also, and we can start synergizing the energy maybe from the University of Kerala. And I take this opportunity to make an appeal from my side also to kindly involve in this particular exercise of energizing the youngsters through your academic talks, through your motivational talks, through your accomplishments, and through your life practice also. So with these few words, let us just go into today's talk. I'm so happy that today is the first day of inaugurating the luminary lecture series of your celebrations. So happy to deliver the very first talk and to inaugurate this particular event. And I thought that I will start from my core area of energy. So the first slide, what I'm showing you today is Sustainable Development Goals of the Government of India. We, even though we are individuals, we are not living in islands. We are not an isolated body. We are the integral part of this nation. All of us are the integral parts of the great country, India. And therefore, when the Government of India is announcing the Sustainable Development Goals for the benefit of the nation, we ourselves should feel like committed that every one of us, we also have something to contribute towards the Sustainable Development Goals, which is already announced by the Government of India. Even though the list contains some 17 points as Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved in the upcoming days, one particular goal is energy for all. They have a number of things: food for all, power for all, energy for all, affordable healthcare. So I have taken sustainable energy for all. The government has told energy for all, but I have added sustainable energy. Reason being, energy, if you just take the conventional form of energy or resources, they get depleted day by day, and therefore some kind of sustainability is required. And this is where the topping up or the addressing the requirements that is being taken care by renewable energy. So when I put the word sustainable energy, it covers both conventional as well as renewable energy. And as all of you know, I belong to the family of CSIR. It's a big family, proud family, containing 38 CSIR national labs across this country. And whatever the Government of India is placing as the thrust areas, as the important areas, as the areas of importance to R&D, immediately we from CSIR family, we prioritize our research to match with the requirements that have been announced by the Government of India. Accordingly, CSIR has taken sustainable energy for all as a caption, as a theme, and CSIR these days is working based on thematic approach. We are functioning under 8 teams, and one such team is E2D team, meaning is conventional and non-conventional energy related devices. That is called E2D team. So, fortunately, CSIR SICRI is a nodal lab, and the director of CSIR SICRI is the team director of this particular energy team. In this particular team, as I already told, even though energy is available everywhere within CSIR labs, energy related research is going on, as I already told. CSIR has to synergize the entire energy, and therefore this particular team is subdivided into sub-verticals. 6 sub-verticals I'm talking about: coal energy and petroleum energy. So these 2 are coming under the category of conventional energy. So 2 labs are leading these 2 activities: coal energy by SIMFER, Dhanbad, and petroleum energy by IIP, Dehradun. Then comes the renewable energy. So hydrogen energy, I would say it's a mix of both conventional as well as renewable energy, because hydrogen could be obtained from conventional sources as well as from renewable sources. Therefore, it is a midpoint, and this hydrogen energy is being led by CSIR NCL Pune. And next comes, once energy is produced, we have to really take care of the conversion of energy also, because as per law of conservation of energy, all of us, we know that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, whereas one form of energy could be converted into another form of energy. Therefore, energy conversion and related devices is another sub-vertical, which is led by CSIR NIST from Thiruvananthapuram. And of course, once you produce energy or generate energy, and once you convert one form of energy into another form of energy, end of the day, without you store it very effectively, it is not going to be of any use to anybody. Therefore, energy storage is much more important, and this is where CSIR SICRI is coming into picture. And of course, as I already told, when you make all these synergistic things, not only energy is having its impact on the country in one direction, it is having its impact on the environment, which is already known to everybody. Therefore, the last sub-vertical is energy and environment, which is led by another lab called CSIR NEERI, Nagpur. Now I'll tell you, from this slide onwards, you have to always correlate both scientific energy as well as human energy. So I will show slides on scientific energy, but parallelly you have to correlate it with human energy also. So for example, if you want to synergize the entire energy, whether it is a scientific form of energy or the human resources related energy, you have to have some kind of strategic approach. So the first strategy in any case is you have to know what is the current scenario. So I'm just showing you what is the current scenario with respect to conventional and renewable energy. In the year 2020, if you just see that 63% we are using conventional and 37% we are using renewable energy. But the forecast for 2030, it is just going in the reverse side. We are going to use only 35% of conventional energy. Rather, we are going to use 65% of renewable energy. You can simply correlate conventional energy as maybe parents or the elderly people in the society, and renewable energy could be correlated with the young minds or the young spirits, the youth of this country. So today in this country, maybe in our lifestyle, 63, that is the major decisions. Even now I can't say it is 63, but we can say that the participation from the youth is only 37 something. But in future, we also believe that the energy of the youth, it is going to be utilized to the extent of 65%, which is renewable energy. So whenever I say conventional, you should think about elderly people. And whenever I say renewable, you should think about youth. Therefore, you can correlate very easily what I really mean through every picture. If you just see the right-hand side, I have talked about hydrogen. I already told it's a midpoint. So if you just to see the hydrogen, India-based hydrogen market, they say that at least 3-4 technologies will find their application and relevance even in the year 2025 and 2030 also. It is nothing but steam methane reforming or coal gasification or any other form of, that is oxidation of oil or even electrolysis of water. These are the ways by means of which hydrogen could be obtained. So when you take it from coal, you are using the conventional source, whereas when you take it from solar and wind power, then it becomes the renewable part. So this hydrogen definitely is going to give you a wide market in future. Of course, we CSIR, we are having strength in that hydrogen generation part also. So with respect to the hydrogen generation, whatever it may be, in the form of hydrogen or in any other form of wind or solar or whatever form of renewable energy, we are finding a place. And of course, as I already told, we have the capability of converting one form into another form. And at the end of the day, if you just think about storage, whether it is renewable energy or conventional energy, storage is very, very important. And that is where we are now coming up with number of batteries, starting from lithium battery, sodium batteries, supercapacitors, and even redox flow batteries. So whatever you name as a battery chemistry or the storage device chemistry, CSIR is there. And therefore, let us not worry about how we are going to store the energy. So if you just put one question of why do we need renewable energy, we have to think in this direction. Today, the sea level is rising, temperature is increasing, the habitat is getting damaged, and water supply is becoming scarce. And therefore, we have to think very seriously what's happening to the globe. As all of us know, even a school child can also be able to say that it is global warming. So when we talk about the global warming, definitely everybody will agree that the amount of carbon deposit that is getting loaded in the atmosphere is increasing day by day, not only due to our domestic lifestyle driven changes, but also due to the automobile sector or the transport sector or due to the industries. Because today we have mushrooming growth of industries, especially after the industry revolution. And therefore, the amount of carbon that is getting deposited in the atmosphere is going in an alarming manner. Therefore, I think all of you will be aware, the students will also be aware. We have signed in COP21, COP22 agreements. Therefore, we need to reduce the carbon concentration to the maximum possible extent of at least 2% in the upcoming years. And therefore, India has already signed. Therefore, we, the responsible citizens of India, we have to work towards it. And therefore, we need a lot of renewable energy. We have to reduce the conventional energy and we have to increase the usage of renewable energy. Meaning is, we have to give more importance to the younger generation by means of which we may be able to do justice to the nation, both in terms of lifestyle as well as in terms of economy of this nation. So with that particular thing only, everybody is now concentrating on the renewable energy. And when I told you about the energy storage, I just wanted to just tell you one more thing. Whatever energy that is being generated or converted, if not stored, it is going to be a waste. And therefore, storage finds a very, very big role. Similarly, this youth energy, it has to be tapped, accumulated in a particular fashion in the country. That could be done through scientific discipline. And this is where I'm so happy to address all of you through science, by means of which you can learn human science as well as lifestyle. Now coming to the strategy, first strategy, what I told you was you should know where you are. That is the current scenario. The second one is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a very, very important thing. Knowing your own strength, knowing your own weakness, knowing the opportunities, and knowing the threats. Don't worry about the slide. This slide talks about only energy. Now I just translate it to youngsters. You being youngsters, you know what are your strengths. You know that the number of neurons that you have compared to your parents as well as your forefathers, it is n number of times it has been increased. That is a gift of the nature. Nature has gifted all of you with maybe innumerable times, by means of which the number of neurons is more and therefore your thinking ability is more. So this is your strength, inherent strength, I would say. And if you just see the opportunities, I think today opportunities are indefinite, I could say, because once upon a time we used to search for things. Nowadays, you need not search anything because you know one mantra, which is called Google mantra. Whatever you want, if you just Google it, that will search on behalf of you, and that will give whatever you want in a ready-made manner, and it will be made available to you within no time. So opportunities are now indefinite. You have your own inherent strength, and therefore this is high time you should know what is a weakness and what is a threat. The weakness is a very simple point. If at all you don't realize that you have this much amount of inherent strength, that itself will become your weakness. So this is what even our forefathers, they said, know thyself. So first you should realize yourself. So you should understand that these are my strengths. You should understand that these are the opportunities available in front of me. If you don't realize all these things, in my opinion, that is the one and only weakness that you have. Otherwise, everywhere around you today, it is full of positivity and it is full of strength. Coming to the last point of threat, I think this is where we, the elderly people, we need to really worry about. If at all you, the youngsters, with all these positivities, if you people are not channelized for your energy and for your thought process and for your action plans and for your goal setting, I think that is going to be the maximum, and that is the ultimate threat for this particular nation as well as for the globe. And therefore, the kind of threat is not having more importance on youngsters, it is having more importance on the elderly people. So we have to really take care of the kind of threat that is associated if at all the youngsters are not channelized properly. So that is the second strategy which I told you. Now, as I already mentioned in the opening remarks, whenever the country is prioritizing something, we as very responsible citizens, as a part of this society, we have to adhere to those prioritized areas, and therefore we have already prioritized our areas, like we have to reduce the carbon intensity. I already told you about this COP21 and 22 agreement. So that has to be reduced, means the mobility or the fashion with which the mobility sector is functioning today, it has to be moved from IC engine to electric mobility. Second thing is, as I told, due to the industrial revolution, number of industries is more, and therefore this is high time. All the industries are just expelling carbon dioxide, and all the carbon dioxide should be converted into value-added products. And it's good that the government is now insisting upon net zero carbon technologies only for further implementation. Therefore, now companies are in the search of net zero carbon technologies. So this combination of e-mobility and zero carbon technologies, this particular combo will help us in a major way to reduce the carbon intensity in the atmosphere, by means of which we can protect the environment and protect this nation not to get further sufferings due to global warming. So this is one kind of a immediate measure the country has to look into. And the second point is, as I told already, even in this current scenario, it is said 300 million people are not having access to electricity. So it's a shocking news. Therefore, this is high time. We have to power all the villages of this nation to glow with electricity. And therefore, this is high time. We have to map the energy. We have to tap the energy. And we have to make the waste into wealth, by means of which we may be able to do justice to energy for all and power for all, which is a SDG of the Government of India. So when I say so, you have to map and tap energy. At the same time, I'm telling waste to wealth also. So once again, here now, let us just translate it to the youth energy. You have to identify the youth with the kind of positivity you have to tap. If at all some youth is getting diverted, maybe due to the societal situation or due to the environment or due to some unavoidable circumstances, you have to put them again in the right path, by means of which you can do justice and you can make all these things to become a positive power to this nation. So now coming to the scientific energy and power, we from SICRI, we believe that electrochemistry can offer greener strategies, because in electrochemistry, there is nothing which is getting evolved in the form of SOx or NOx or COX or whatever. Because in our case, we're not adding any chemicals, it's only electron that is doing the magic. And therefore, nothing obnoxious is coming out. And therefore, we call these technologies as zero emission technologies. That is the beauty of electrochemistry. And this is where we believe that electrochemistry is a one and only platform by means of which greener strategies could be implemented. And the third point, very important point, is we have to do the capacity building or the capability building of this nation for its self-sufficiency. Because today we are talking about self-reliant India. So we don't want to, because especially the geopolitical reasons, they are making us to think in this fashion. We don't want to have any more dependence on any other country for our critical requirements. That is very important. We have to really act as a self-supported country. So this kind of self-reliant India could be made possible only through Skill India, Startup India, Young India, Youth India, and I can even add it is a Student India. So in that case only, we need number of missions. If it is for electricity, we need mission for electric mobility. And in this case, CSIR's energy mission is also giving solution. Similarly, all these youngsters, you also should act as a mission to see that the country's self-reliance is getting assured. Meaning is, I encourage every one of you, as soon as you finish your studies from academia, during your academic time itself, you can do some amount of research. You can understand what research is. Then once the research is known to you, you will be able to translate it further in the form of a technology or an innovation or a lead that could be transferred to an industry, by means of which you can see that academia, research, industry in one line, and this trio will help in a major way to address self-reliant India. So I have just given here some examples of fuel generation means fuel cells, conversion means DSSC and OPV, storage means batteries and supercapacitors. As I already told, I will take one example of fuel cells and I will just correlate it with the young energy, and then other things could be very easily followed by you in the upcoming slides. So if you just take the next slide, which is talking about your strategy 4. So once you know what are the different types of stability or the different types of strengths which are available, then you should know how to sequence it. In the case of energy, we have number of candidates. Like even in the fuel cell, you have number of candidates: alkaline fuel cell, polymer fuel cell, molten carbonate fuel cell, solid oxide fuel cell, polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cell. Number of fuel cells are there. Phosphoric acid fuel cell, like so many fuel cells are there. But you should know which fuel cell should be used for which application and at what temperature and up to what kind of energy that could be used. So this is called sequencing or optimization, which is applicable to even you, the students, with your own available energy. Somebody will be good in academics, somebody will be good in art, fine arts, somebody will be good in oration, somebody will be good in writing. Therefore, appropriately, you have to sequence your capabilities, and all these sequencing should go from its basic level to its fullest developed form. So the next strategy, what I'm telling is, if at all you want to achieve something, whatever it may be the goal, you have to start from the scratch. In the same way, we from CSIR family, we started our fuel cell research from the scratch. We started making our own membrane electrode assembly, for which we started with membranes. we started making our own electrodes. Then we started combining these membranes and electrodes, and we formed our own MEA, membrane electrode assembly. Then once this assembly is formed, we combined all those things as stacks. Then we formed a single cell. From single cell, then we made number of cells packed together to form stacked cell or modules. So this is one example by means of which you can also think that you have to start from the scratch. Meaning is you have to identify your own hidden potential and start developing the potential, start using the infrastructure or the facility which is available within your own college, within your own house, within your own hostel, within your own ambience, then slowly develop it, just augment it, give it a visible shape, then accumulate the whole thing, then you just pack it, and then you think about using that particular form of energy or form of capability for a particular application. In the case of fuel cells, we used it for mobility, even a kind of a tractor that could be powered by the fuel cells, which were packed from our own labs. And this is one good example. You may think that we started from the scratches of making simple membranes, simple electrodes. Now it has grown up to the level of powering a tractor. It is nothing but consistent energy with the constant dedication and the target orienting approach. So if at all you also keep this particular spirit and strength in your life, you can also really move away any kind of a big kind of a tractor kind of Himalayan kind of task also so easily with your own little power. So the next strategy, you can say whatever you do, that should be demonstrated at site, especially in the case of research. Initially, we will do it in the lab. We call it as a lab scale demonstration. Once the lab scale demonstration is over, we have to demonstrate it at the site where it is going to be utilized at the end of the day. So this is one good example. From lab, we took our own developments and demonstrated at the site. So this is one Patalganga site where we demonstrated the working capacity of the fuel cells. So once it is demonstrated at the site, I think next is demonstration for real-time application, and that gives you more visibility. For example, very recently, you would have seen in newspaper that CSIR with a private company, we demonstrated successfully a fuel cell powered car, and this is the ultimate demonstration. Now this demonstration gives us more confidence. This gives us not only visibility, this makes us to feel much more committed, because now the expectation from the society, expectation of this nation from CSIR side is now huge, and therefore we have to come up with one by one different applications. So this is the next strategy I'm showing you. Once you are done with one kind of demonstration, you have to move towards its augmented form or its improvised version. So this is called version 2. So far I was showing you the closed cathode stack, by means of which the fuel cell will be little heavy, it is going to be little bigger in size, and therefore that could be used in automobile applications, or telecom sector, or stationary application. But when you want to use the same fuel cell, maybe for aviation application, maybe for some kind of a flying objects, maybe on high altitude applications, then the question comes, just because the fuel cell size is big, can we consider it for high altitude applications? So this is where the version 2 comes. Yes, we can fine tune by way of changing the chemistry, tweaking the chemistry, modifying the chemistry, by means of which you can make the closed cathode stack as an open cathode stack, and the number of components, it is reduced to the minimum possible level, and therefore weight reduction is achieved. This kind of open cathode stack could be used in high altitude application also. This is our version 2. So when you do all these things, finally comes you have to dedicate the product to the nation. So you may be knowing, last year we have already just dedicated one fuel cell to the nation, and the product was dedicated to the nation by the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, and the President of this nation received that version of fuel cell. Subsequently, we created our own test facility also in Sikri, which was also inaugurated by the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. So this is where you can say this particular effort is getting its fullest form or its ultimate destination. So this is what is the case study by means of which I just wanted you to learn. In the same way, you can start from your scratch. Any kind of talent that you have, you can sequence your talent. You can add value to the talent. Within your college level or within your state level, first you can demonstrate your capability. Then you can demonstrate it at the national level. Then you can elevate it to the global level. This is how you can reach the topmost place in the area that is chosen by you. That is a message I just wanted to convey the students of the University of Kerala. Now, taking this opportunity, as I already told, storage is very, very important. I will just tell you one small, it's a kind of a scientific story. There was a conference in which there was an announcement that if at all somebody could really come up with the identification of an universal solvent, he or she will be just given an award of maybe 10,000 or 20,000 million dollars of a gift. So when that kind of announcement was made, many students worked for that. End of the day, one student, she came up with an idea that I have found out an universal solvent. So the juries were there. They started asking her the question, in what way you say that it is an universal solvent? They started just piercing her with a number of questions. So they asked, you say that it is an universal solvent. Will it dissolve glass? She said yes. Will it dissolve wood? She said yes. Will it dissolve stone? She said yes. Will it dissolve metals? She said yes. Will it dissolve ceramic? She said yes. They were so amazed. The juries all decided, yes, she has identified and she's come up with the discovery of the universal solvent, and they were about to just give her the gift. By the time another bright student, she came up with only one question. She asked a simple question. So the moment she raised the question, the prize was given to the one who raised the question rather than the one who identified the universal solvent. So what kind of the question the other girl posed is very, very simple. She asked a simple question. I admire the way you answered. Your universal solvent will dissolve each and everything, whether it is Many times I have seen teenagers especially, they find it very impossible to live without this kind of e-gadgets. I'm talking about mobile phone especially, because the kind of addiction that is being there with respect to the youngsters of this nation or the whole world is up to that level. Therefore, this is high time. We have to just channelize all your concentrations using mobile phone as the instrument. So how best mobile phone could be used effectively? The best example is Corona driven requirements. Once upon a time, if at all you take mobile phone to the school, you will be punished, because mobile phone inside the school was not allowed. But today the whole school, it is living inside a mobile phone. So this is the scenario that is getting changed. Of course, now mobile phone is getting number of usable version, number of usable applications, especially targeting the youngsters. Maybe this is the one way in which we can thank Corona, irrespective of all the negativity of Corona. Now, coming to these e-tools, whatever it may be, this kind of e-tools, this is giving you another kind of a threat, because we are using mobile phones in such a way. Because I used to again ask my students, how many of you are having only one mobile phone? Many of them will say, yeah, I have only one mobile phone. No, the real answer is many of you are having a minimum of 2 mobile phones. If that is the scenario, the total population of the country into 2, you just think about the number. Therefore, soon, parallel to the environment, we call it as biological environment, we are creating an environment which is called e-environment. Nature has created the biological environment, and we, the human beings, we are creating the e-environment. Similarly, because of the nature, we are coming up with the bio-waste, but human-created e-gadgets, we are now coming up with e-waste also. Therefore, I always used to say, I think we are competing with nature in creating one more sphere. When nature is creating a biosphere, nature has already created the biosphere, and we human beings, we are trying to create another sphere, which we call it as e-sphere. Biosphere is well balanced, whereas e-sphere is ill balanced, and therefore energy should be made as indigenous energy. Energy should be used only for positivity, and this e-sphere should be made as a balanced e-sphere, for which the batteries are to be used in a very, very positive manner. And this is where I'm telling you, if you just want to use batteries as a storage, I would say without any hesitation, for so many reasons, lithium batteries, they are the choice of today's scenario. When we talk about lithium batteries, all of you are aware in your mobile phone, all of you are having definitely a lithium battery. Once upon a time, you had NiCad also in your mobile phone, but now every mobile phone is having only lithium battery. Let's assume our own nearest neighbor, our good friend, China, if at all they refuse to send any more amount of lithium from China to India, where are we going to get this lithium? How are we going to manage with the lithium battery? How are we going to run the life without mobile phone? Because once upon a time, number was given only to the prisoners. But today, including me, everybody, we are known only through our mobile phone numbers. So if mobile phone is not there, I think the world will not function at all. That is the scenario. And therefore, to make the mobile phone functional, you need lithium battery. To make the lithium battery functional, you need lithium. But unfortunately, India is not having lithium. And our geopolitical reasons are giving a threat that anytime we may have the bad scenario of countries refusing to supply lithium. Therefore, this is high time. We have to come up with our own indigenous lithium battery technology. And we started our journey with a project called TAPSEN. And today our technology readiness level is 5. And we are coming up with our own indigenously developed pouch cells as well as cylindrical cells. As I already told you, today we are talking about all this indigenization. And when I'm making a product, and if I want to penetrate the market with my product, first thing, the threat is who is going to encourage me? Because in the market, you have number of products with the branding. The products are known for their proven performance. They are known for their brand names. They are known for their origin. They are already certified for their performance. And therefore, when India is entering into this market, how are we going to get a kind of a reception from our own people, leave alone the global standards? So this is where benchmarking is very, very essential. Whenever you do something, you have to match your performance with the globally available benchmarking level. So this is where we are benchmarking our product. And the good part of it, or the good news or the happiness, is nothing but we are able to match with the globally available benchmarking products with respect to our indigenous product. As I already told, when you just come up with the development of some product, you have to start doing demonstrations. So we started our demonstration with a simple torch light. Then we moved to the power bank. Then we started trying with the street lights. Then our confidence level went up. We started using it in the e-cycle. Then we made it in e-bike and e-scooter. You can see the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology and our Director General, both of them are taking a ride in the e-bike, which is powered by SICRI-made lithium battery. So just because we have shown this kind of a demonstration, now the country is coming up with a kind of encouraging our efforts by way of allowing us to think about an indigenous lithium battery producing technology, and the capacity of the plant is 100 megawatt hour per year. This is a new facility, upcoming facility. I do not know how many of you are aware that SICRI, which is headquartered at Karaikudi, is having our own extension center in Chennai, which we call it a satellite center, wherein we do research only on two aspects. Number one is fuel cell, number two is lithium battery. So in Chennai, right now, we have a facility wherein we can make 100 cylindrical lithium cells per day, and we are going to augment it to the tune of 1,000 cylindrical cells per day. Slowly, we'll be coming up with the higher version of cylindrical cells as well as prismatic cells. And we have decided the deadlines like this. Within another 3 to 4 months, especially from the month of April 2021, our 18650 cylindrical cells will be penetrating market. Exactly after 1 year, our higher version of cylindrical cells, 26650 or 21700, along with the prismatic cells, will penetrate Indian market. And this is where we are hopeful that Indian market will also accept our product and we'll be able to launch and serve this country through this product. Now, as I already mentioned, in India, if you ask me, where do you have lithium reserve? My answer is even, you can Google also. You cannot find even a small city or a town or a village or even a colony where you can say lithium resources are available. Somebody says that near Bangalore in Karnataka, some amount of lithium is available, but it is not available in the form of lithium. It is available in the form of a lithium salt or a lithium precursor. Whereas in other countries, we call it as ABC, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, there and all, lithium is available like the way we are having salts getting out of seawater. They are getting lithium in their seashore, in the sand, and from the seawater. In Afghanistan, it is available in seawater. And many countries, they have their own lithium mines. But we don't have any lithium mine. Our country and maybe our seashore may have lithium, but the concentration is yet to be known. And how best we will be able to extract lithium from the seawater, or for that matter, the kind of seashore sand, all these things are yet to be known, yet to be explored, yet to be understood. So having this situation as a background, anyway, the lifestyle cannot be changed. Therefore, what best you can do as an immediate measure is nothing but, in India, as I already told, population into 2 is the maximum number of mobile phone. Everywhere you have lithium. Therefore, all the spent batteries, if at all, they all could be collected. And if at all the lithium related components, be it the active material or the component, if at all you can recycle it or refurbish it, then you can assure second life to the lithium battery. And the forecast or the interesting point is like this: if at all we are successful in recycling and refurbishing of cathodes of lithium battery with the available lithium batteries as on date in the country, we may be able to cater to the requirements of the futuristic requirement of this nation to the tune of 1/3 of its total requirement. Meaning is, even if no country is giving us lithium, then also 1/3, 30% of our lithium requirement could be easily addressed only through recycling and refurbishing. This is a huge opportunity. Therefore, I urge, I sensitize, and I motivate and encourage all the youngsters to think in this direction. What best I can do? I have a battery with its full life. So when the battery is dead, when the battery is losing its charging capability, how best I can recycle it and give second life to the battery? That gives a lot of new hope for the second life of batteries. So this is with respect to the scenario. So today we are talking about lithium batteries, and tomorrow what we are telling is, if at all this lithium driven energy is going to rule the entire thing, just because the case of electricity and all, we are having grid level storage. Can we really elevate this lithium battery to the grid level storage? To answer that question, chemistry is giving one more answer, which is called redox flow batteries. Whenever you want to have a massive storage, then you can think about the redox flow chemistry, which is a new chemistry. And all youngsters, including the University of Kerala physics students, you can really Google and understand what that vanadium or any kind of metal related redox flow battery. I'm just showing you an example. In redox flow battery, number of chemistries: metal-metal redox flow battery, metal-halogen redox flow battery, all-metal redox flow battery. Number of redox flow batteries are there. And if you start working in this direction, you will be celebrated as one among the first 10 members who are working in the field of flow battery technology. Reason being, not too many companies or too many countries are coming up with the branded product right now. No product is commercially available today. Therefore, this is high time. We can pitch in, we can do a lot of research, we can come up with our own battery related components for redox flow batteries also, by means of which we can conquer even the global market. Similarly, supercapacitors, especially a state like Kerala, because you are not having only plains. Kerala is known for your own geographical way. You will have hills and mountains so casually and so nearby. So you have ups and downs very casually you are crossing across. And therefore, when you are powering a car only with a battery, and if you just want to climb up the hill, for example, ISER Thiruvananthapuram, it is on the top of a hill. Therefore, if you just want to take you want to climb the top of the hill, maybe the battery powered car may pose some difficulty, because climbing up the hill, it requires not the energy, it requires more power. Therefore, in such case, you need a kind of instant power giving device, which is nothing but supercapacitors. Therefore, if you really start working with supercapacitors, you can come up with a kind of a solution, especially in the form of hybrid electric vehicle. Whenever you require peak power to climb up the hills, you can use supercapacitor. Once the hill is already climbed and you have only the ordinary terrain, then you can use batteries. So you should know how to handle energy and power, wherein you will make use of battery and supercapacitors. So in supercapacitor, again, you have aqueous supercapacitors, you have non-aqueous supercapacitors, you have symmetric supercapacitor, you have asymmetric supercapacitor. But for supercapacitor, you don't require any great chemistry. Just take carbon. This carbon can be of any carbon. You can take even biocarbon. Maybe as a physics student, you may not be knowing, but I'm telling you the secret behind the carbon is nothing but all organic compounds or all materials, you can say. I'm not talking about metals, materials. All materials, when they decompose, you can even include life. When a life is ended and we are getting decomposed, that time the end product is only carbon. So when materials are decomposing, they will leave back a residue, which is nothing but carbon. So if you just choose your material in such a way that the carbon contains some kind of a heteroatom like nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus, then you can increase the conductivity, you can increase the surface area, you can increase the porosity, and those carbons could be directly used as electrodes in supercapacitors. Whatever you have seen is nothing but orange peel derived carbon. I'm not talking about orange fruit derived carbon, only the peel, orange peel we have taken. So that peel driven carbon is capable of giving you a good supercapacitor. Therefore, supercapacitor work is very, very simple. What you require is only carbon. But in the case of non-aqueous supercapacitor, you can use even metals, by means of which you can improve the performance of it. So this is my last slide. So whatever I told so far, you know how to generate energy, how to convert energy, how to store energy, how to combine energy with power, how to make hybrid. But end of the day, as I already told, somebody should certify that, yes, this is a product. This product will serve the purpose. So this is where certification comes into picture. Like the way you are getting your degree certificate from your college or university, we from SICRI, we are the certifying agency for batteries, and by means of which CSIR is finding its role end to end, starting from energy creation to testing and certifying. We are there in every aspect. Similarly, you can also make that, you can make the entire nation to feel that end to end, your contribution is important, your contribution is impeccable, and your contribution is having all positivity for the benefit of this nation. I think with this few words, I think I have taken maybe around 50 minutes or 1 hour, whatever. So I tried my level best to just pass on the kind of positivity that could be done from my end. I do not know to what extent I was successful in my attempt. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Once again, I'm so happy to see many young faces virtually, and I look forward to meet all of you physically in CSIR SICRI campus. Every year, September 26th, we just adhere the open day. So on that particular day, number of school children, college students, researchers, you can visit. No permission is required. It is open. That is why it is called open day. So I look forward to invite all of you, maybe the open day of SICRI in the year 2021. Thank you so much. Wish you all a happy new year 2021. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam, for this inaugural talk in this series of 50 luminary lectures. I'm sure that the audience have thoroughly enjoyed the lecture. Madam, shall we take some, if there are any questions from audience side, shall we take them?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 If there are any queries from audience side, please feel free to ask.
Okay. I'm very happy to just spend time in addressing this Q&A, because I was also talking about the one who raised the question was only given the prize. Therefore, the Q&A is very important. Yeah, just go ahead. No problem.
Yes, yes. Hello? From student side, don't you have any questions? Or faculty side?
I think, madam, then there are only two possibilities. Either they understood fully or did not understand. No problem. No, I was just joking because many times they will have their own hesitation. It's not an issue. They can understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the initial inhibition.
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
Because at this
Okay.
age, all those things are very common. Yeah. Mamata Sahu. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm Mamta. I'm a theoretician actually, but this it was very wonderful talk. So I know what I had only one question that you mentioned that supercapacitor when only materials that if you consider metals it cannot be, but why just
No, not metal cannot be. What I said was,
no,
metal
yeah.
one composition will not give you carbon. What I told
Yes,
you is,
yeah, and only that region, is it that region only due to the carbon? But yeah, maybe that semiconducting material or any other kind of material you can, is it, it's possible?
definitely, because if at all you use carbon, you can think about only aqueous supercapacitor. But if you use metals, definitely you can use metals because we also use number of metals.
Yes,
And
yes,
when
of
you
course.
use metals only, the performance of the supercapacitor will be more. But the only thing is many times you may have to choose the electrolyte in such a way. Sometimes you may have to go with the non-aqueous chemistry also for the improved version of performance. Metals are finding a place, but you as college students, what I wanted to inform you is, even if you don't get any metal, you need not worry about it. Even with simple carbon, any carbon, you can do supercapacitor. But the same supercapacitor could be upgraded for its performance only with respect to metals, metal oxides, metal sulfides. Number of categories are there. So you can definitely do metal-based supercapacitors for improved version.
Thank you.
Sodium-ion battery could be used even today directly to penetrate the consumer electronic markets, especially for the gadgets. But to qualify the sodium battery for electric vehicle application, we may require little more time. It has to go to the next level of development. So once it is done, I think partially the problem of even EV will also get solved. Even now with sodium battery, consumer electronics market driven needs could be easily addressed. It's not an issue. So sodium battery related research is now coming up very, very progressively. Therefore, we need not worry about that particular point. But at the same time, it has to be upgraded for its next level in the EV show also.
Okay, that is what I felt. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. An alternative has to come.
Correct.
And also, what you mentioned, we can just sort out and take the reusage of lithium already used.
Yeah.
Because I have heard of gold being reused because it is in all electronic circuits, gold we are using. Similarly, lithium can also be taken. Okay.
Like the way we take rare earth from the magnets, we can take the active components from the used battery and we can use it again, reuse. So that's why I said the statistics says that 30% could be very easily addressed, even by way of properly doing the recycling and refurbishing. Naya sir, I vaguely remember last time when I came to Kerala University with Dr. Sudha, I think I met you. So now I recall.
And one more thing about the supercapacitors, its production in the country has to increase.
Definitely.
That is a problem we are facing now.
Yeah, I will tell you one positivity. In Pune, there is a company called Spell. Spell Pune is doing. But in your own Kerala, at least 2-3 companies are there. Somebody like an MSME is also doing supercapacitor packaging in Cochin. In Cochin, there is a company on Cochin or Ernakulam, I think Cochin. So 2 companies are already
Kannur Keltron.
Yeah.
Kannur Keltron, and actually the scientific advisor to Chief Minister, once I met him and then I told about this problem. The Keltron in Kannur has to change to supercapacitors. I think now they are taking it up.
Yeah.
He has taken it up.
Yes.
And actually the products that have come up from ESSC, ISRO, that they are going to produce.
That's true. That's a great sign, positive sign. Because now science is getting disseminated and the leads are reaching the industries. And I think we have here and there examples. And now even MSMEs, government is now encouraging MSMEs and startups to take up, and they are encouraging all of us also to involve them in as many practices, as many exercises as possible. And we are holding number of meetings with the MSME, startups, and Skill India group. Then especially CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, they are also arranging such meetings. So we are now talking to the different segments of people. I think this kind of dissemination, maybe in another 1 decade, maybe within another 3-5 years itself, the growth and the percolation will be visible. And in another 1 decade, I think it will be much more popular. This is what I ambitiously look forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Madam,
Thank
you, sir. Madam, there is a question from one of the students. Shall I read it out?
Please, please.
Yes. What better substitute we have than lithium-ion batteries, which could actually reduce the carbon footprint during the manufacturing? It is by Bharat Krishna.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Actually, if you just take the carbon emission, especially industries like power sector related industries, or chemical industries, or refineries, or paper industry, or textile industry, whatever industry, Especially if you take power industry, then the amount of SOx, NOx, sulfur oxide related, nitrogen oxide related, carbon related oxides, that is going to be more. So they call it as sometimes flue gas also, even steel plants and all. So the approach is like this. They will be having a kind of an outlet from where the kind of a flue gas or the SOx, NOx, COX are coming. So you can just keep a kind of an adsorbent that can selectively adsorb CO2. Then that particular adsorbed material will be allowed to desorb, and this CO2 will be converted into value-added products. So this is the one kind of a thing. And for this kind of a desorption, the kind of adsorption, right now there is no indigenous technology available. Many companies, what they do is, for SOx and NOx, they have Taiwanese technologies. They have some other technology also, even Chinese technologies are available. So power plants, what they do is they just tap the carbon related oxides using these technologies. But when you capture, again the next question comes, after capturing, where are you going to store? So you have to again think about offshore thinking, or under the seawater you have to think about, because there is no space available in the country to store that much amount of CO2 that is adsorbed in a material. That's why now everybody is now looking for a kind of a solution wherein you can think about the online adsorption, online desorption, by means of which you will be keeping a material that will adsorb and desorb, and during its desorption there will be another technology which will be implemented to convert the CO2 into very many products. As you know, I do not know how many of physics students may be able to understand, but very easily CO2 could be converted into methanol. It could be converted into any kind of acid like adipic acid, succinic acid, formic acid. They're all finding their application as intermediates and final products in the chemical industry and in the pharma industry also. Therefore, CO2 could be given a value-added product, finding its application in very many other sectors. That kind of attempts are also happening in the country. Now, I told you, I just gave a hint in my talk. Now the government started insisting that everybody who is emitting this much amount of CO2, they have to really implement some kind of CO2 to value addition technologies, and they have to see that, and they have to ensure that the CO2 is not reaching the ambience or the atmosphere as such, like the way it is happening today. That is a good scenario. And now the country is coming up with a number of technologies. We from SICRI, we are giving technical consultancy to few companies, steel companies, power industries, chemical industries, process industries in this regard. We are into that also. CO2 to value addition, similarly CO2 capture, CO2 sequestration. So in all these fields, SICRI is having our own technologies. Yes.
Madam, another question from my side actually. While talking about supercapacitors, there are three different ways to explain the capacitance: the Faraday capacitance, volumetric capacitance, and aerial capacitance. When we are selecting a particular, like a device, what criteria, based on what criteria we have to look at these three aspects? Which one we have to say? Select?
No, I think aerial capacitance, Faraday capacitance and all, I think only in terms of publication they are worried about.
Yes.
Why they are sensitizing you is because aerial capacitance and Faraday capacitance, what they will ask you is, they will make you to understand to what extent the total available surface area could be utilized by you to increase the capacitance of that material. So you don't worry about that particular point. Rather, similarly, when you use it in the 3-electrode system, you will get one kind of a value. And when you use it in the 2-electrode system, your value is going to be different. Therefore, you don't worry about all those things. Only thing is the capacitance loss should be kept as minimum as possible. And if you are using a material with the maximum possible surface area, everywhere the capacitance for its maximum could be addressed. So in real-time application, actually you have to see the interface kinetics, based on which only you can say which one should be addressed at first. So don't worry about this aerial capacitance. For the time being, Okay, it is gaining its importance in the publication point of view. Yeah.
And there are some more questions from the student side.
Yeah.
How to know the remaining life cycle of the lithium-ion battery if we have a cell in our hand?
So very, very nice question. See, I will tell you, maybe first day when you buy your cell phone, maybe for first 1 or 2 months, it will get charged so easily. Maybe within half an hour, it will reach 100%. But it depends upon your usage. If at all you keep on using it, then maybe within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, for somebody 5 years, for people like me, maybe for 7 years, maybe for elderly people, it may come up to even 10 years. Then at that time only, it will take more time to get charged. Meaning is, its efficiency is getting reduced. So it is nothing but the amount of lithium that it can accept and the amount of lithium that it can give back. So this only decides its efficiency. But when you say, for example, especially youngsters, after 3 or 5 years, if at all it takes 2 hours to get fully charged, they will do one thing. They will definitely remove the battery and they will give it to the parents normally. They will gift it to the parents and they will go for the new model with the new battery. Meaning is, it's nothing but the battery's capacity or its efficiency is lowering. But right as of now, there is no kind of a sensor or any other digital form which is readily available to inform you that your battery is having another lifetime. Definitely your battery is having lifetime. Only thing is, to what extent you have the tolerance to use it for its fullest potential, that needs lot of tolerance. That many people, they may not do. I will give you another good example. Say, for example, you are coming up with lead acid batteries. Initially, you will be using it in 2-wheelers or 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers. In a car or in a truck, you are using a lead acid battery. Maybe after a particular time, the capacity is faded. Afterwards, what they will do is, they will not throw it as such. They will use it for maybe to store solar lights. They can use it as a UPS battery. Then after UPS battery, as UPS battery, it will have some life. Afterwards also, it may require more time to get charged. Meaning is, you will be unnecessarily wasting your electric current. Therefore, at that point of time, they will just leave it for recycling of lead. In the same way, lithium battery, you cannot say, because everybody is having one way. I will tell you, number of chemistries are there. You can charge a battery within 1 hour. You can charge a battery within 20 minutes also. So if you choose the battery chemistry in such a way, the fast rate of charging is also made possible. But if at all people are not worried about the rate at which it is getting charged, they can use it till its last bit of lithium for its utility. But when we are using it in car and other appliances, then now we are coming up with the sensor kind of devices that will tell you that before it is going to get discharged, that will give you a kind of an alarm that you are left with only 20% of the charge. Meaning is, when you are running, when you are just driving your car on a highway, so that will give you an alarm that the battery is going to get discharged. Therefore, you should immediately find the nearby charging station where you can charge the battery and go. I will tell you another good news. Nowadays, there are 2 ways of addressing this issue. You are taking your car and you are taking a travel. In one charge, your battery will allow your car to drive maybe up to 200 kilometers or 250 kilometers. Afterwards, if you want to just go for changing your battery, there are 2 ways of doing it. You can park your car. You can get the battery charged. By the time you can finish your breakfast, then you can take your car and go. Meaning is, your battery should have the chemistry in such a way the charging takes place well within a period of 20 to 30 minutes. This is one way of doing. But there will be some people, they may not be having tolerance up to 20 to 30 minutes. For such people, we are now coming up with an idea of battery swapping centers. Meaning is, you can just give away your battery in the swapping center. You can get the fully charged battery. How much amount of charge with which you are handing over the battery, accordingly some amount of money will be reduced and you will be getting a new battery. Therefore, you don't worry about how long it is going to charge your battery. Okay, this is something like your gas cylinders. You are giving the empty cylinder, you are getting the full cylinder. So similarly, you can give a battery with a 20 to 30% charge to the swapping center. From the swapping center wala, you can get the 100% charged battery. So that also, all these things will happen maybe within another 5-7 years. We are hopeful of getting all these infrastructure across the nation, especially across the highways. That attempts are also being done. Yeah, we are working with such companies. Yeah.
Madam, one more interesting question. Did we get an answer for the question asked by the student that where that universal solvent be stored?
I already told it's a story. Story. Okay. Whomsoever is throwing important questions, I think they're all like the girl who asked that question. It's only an imaginatory thing. Meaning is, I always use this kind of small things just to kindle the spirit, which is just within the student. For some students, the spirit will be on its top, like valence conduction band. For somebody, it will be in the valence band level. Therefore, with an electron, you have to excite it. Therefore, it will get excited, and that will go to the conduction band, and therefore they will come out of it. So, such kind of stories and tips will kindle that one.
So she will be thinking about the answer by herself.
She'll be I told.
Yeah.
So it could be very easily because I gave all possible clues.
Yes.
It is not A, B, C, D, E, A to Z. Therefore, she would have understood.
Yes.
Therefore, where
yes.
will you keep it? Yeah, I think she has a bright future. Let me congratulate her. Okay.
So Aishwarya is the.
Aishwarya, all the very best to you. You have a bright future.
Thank you. Ma'am, one more last question. I think you already answered it. How can we reuse the lithium-ion battery even after battery loses its life?
Yeah, lithium battery, when it is completely lost, means, as I told you, it should be subjected to refurbishing or recycling. Because anyway, the active material is going to be there. Just nothing but the active material. Oh, Aishwarya has replied. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thanks.
Oh, great. Okay. Thanks, Aishwarya. I received. Okay. So the battery, when it is already utilized, means some amount of lithium is lost from the battery. So you just take the battery, just do dissection and carefully collect the electrode material and just find out how much amount of lithium is lost from the battery. Then you just top up exactly the same amount of lithium and make this stoichiometrically stabilized composition, which was already available. Just re-ensure it. Then the battery is ready for the second use. That you cannot do by sitting at home. You have to first surrender your battery at the collection center. The collection center will give it to a company or a place where it is received, and there they will do all these dissection and all. Then they will apply their the SOP. Then through that SOP, the exact amount of, because one battery would have used one amount of lithium. Therefore, exactly that much amount of lithium will be chopped up, and the battery will be now ready for its second life.
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are not any other questions. Now, let me thank you, ma'am, on behalf of Department of Physics for your valuable time. It was a delight to listen to you, ma'am, and we look forward to having you back in near future also. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gopika. Krishna, so many people. Thank you so much. Thank you. I look forward to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good day.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.